All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Shapiro, so glad you can join us on a Friday. Been a little while since we had this guy on the show. There's a reason why we call him Mr. X. He is known as the Hollywood conservative on this show. The reason why we call him Mr. X, he is a longtime producer out there in Hollywood. You know, works with all the liberals, all the lefties out there, right, in Hollywood. And he happens to be a Trump supporter. But I would never call him a radical person to the right because he's not. I think he's logical. That's why we always have good conversations on this show. But we'd like to hear some of his stories, what he has to deal with out there in Hollywood. Mr. X joining us on the line right now, the Hollywood conservative. Mr. X, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Good, man. Things are heating up coming up to the election. You guys are going to need to start disguising my voice. I want one of these, like, CIA voice disguisers that makes me sound like, hello. Like, yeah.
We'll work on that. I know they do that in a lot of TV interviews where they darken the face and then they kind of change the voice a little bit. We'll work on that.
They're starting to lynch suspected Trump supporters in the streets here. It's getting bad.
Well, we don't be careful of that word lynching. You know, you can get in trouble for using that word these days. Hey, I want to ask you about Don Jr. to start because, as you know, he made an appearance on The View yesterday. I just want to read you a Don Jr. quote that I think anybody should have a problem with. This has nothing to do with politics and everything to do, in my opinion, with Don Jr.'s character. This is in regards to his visit to Arlington National Cemetery. This is verbatim. This is an actual quote yesterday from Trump Jr. He says, "As we drove past the rows of white grave markers, I also thought of all the attacks we'd already suffered as a family and about all the sacrifices we'd have to make to help my father succeed." End of quote. He's talking about sacrifices of making speeches and making media and TV appearances to people who lost their lives fighting for this country. This might be the dumbest thing, and I think he said a lot of dumb things, but this might be the dumbest thing and the worst thing that Don Jr. has ever said in his life. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty bad and ridiculous take. I mean, clearly, first of all, what the hell did he go on The View for? Like, I'm confused why he ever went on that ridiculously bad show anyway, but my opinion on it is clearly he was sort of prepped to just basically try to turn this into a, like, everybody hates my dad and, like, look at how much pressure we're under and look at how sad we are and everybody's mean to us. Now, with that said, I don't disagree with that aspect of it. The cemetery thing, like, that's a joke, ridiculous, absolutely absurd thing to say, terrible, parallel to be drawn. But, he did make a couple of comments, I thought, which were extremely relevant about how the liberal media and shows like The View and shows like pretty much every show out there right now are 100% focused on Trump's Twitter and things that Trump says and things that he says. And they're completely ignoring anything positive that Trump does,
right,
politically or economically.
Okay, well, that's...
jobs. And it's like, that's a very valid point.
That's a very valid point.
My thing is, like, look at it from this perspective. That's a really dumb thing to say. There's no excuse. But this
I think it's worse than dumb, though. But hold on a second.
But it's his dad, too. Like, that's the thing.
But that's worse than dumb.
His dad is under constant attack.
Okay, so you guys are going to want to talk about The View and how left they are. Hold on, I'll get to that. I want you guys to talk about that. But I want to stick to what he just said. Okay?
It's ridiculous.
To me, this is not just a dumb thing to say. It's actually what floats through Donald Trump Jr.'s head when he sees people that are 6 feet underneath the ground, okay? This is what he wrote in his book, okay? This is something that was thought out.
Though, man. It's what he's saying on a show. We don't know what he was saying.
No, he said that in it. No, that's not true. He said that in his book. This was thought out. This was not something that was off the cuff. This is something
he said. It's something he said on a talk show. Like that's what it is. Who cares? Like, these guys all say dumb things on every show.
But that's not dumb.
Joe Biden says a lot. But no, I do have an issue with this, a real issue. This is coming from a Trump supporter because he is comparing, death, people who went to war to fight for the country and died to his family being, attacked for tweets that they started. Now, that being said, he went on The View because his father is polling very poorly.
No, because he's trying to sell a book.
No, with female. No, it's all about grabbing the attention of female voters.
No,
absolutely, Brian. The book is you can say it's a book, but it's not about the book. It's about getting exposure with
according to Don Jr. It's about the book.
Middle class females.
According to Don Jr. It's about about the book.
Right now, Trump is polling very poorly with middle-class females.
Well, I'm just telling you, according to Donald Trump Jr., he appeared on The View. He was asked by several conservatives, and he said, well, I'm trying to sell a book.
Well, the guy's a billionaire. I'm not buying that.
Don Jr. is not a billionaire. That's not true.
And fine, but look at what he said here. Here's another quote. We've all done things that we regret. I don't think any of that makes me feel good, but I think we got into this because we want to do what's right for America. My father's been working tirelessly to bring back the American dream. He's brought jobs back. So, he's forget what the things that he's saying on these shows are, to me, so irrelevant, and it's what I despise about politics. So I don't watch the debates and stuff. It's just who can insult the other one in a more clever way, who can say the right thing that makes people applaud.
Whereas, well, that's out of Donald Trump's playbook, is it not? That's what he does in the debates.
The issue with this is, Brian,
and that's why I hate it. And but then again, look at what I think if you take a reasonably statistical analysis of certain things that he's done during his presidency, I think one would determine he's an average president, or maybe a slightly below average, but he's not this monster that the media are trying to portray him as.
And the media, what they do is they prioritize what he says over what he does, and tenfold.
Okay, well,
and obviously under those circumstances, he's going to look bad.
And you guys have a talk show, and obviously that's the most buzzworthy thing that this idiot said on the show, and it's idiotic and stupid, and anybody with half a brain, you literally will get nobody that will agree with what he just said.
You'd be surprised.
You can't.
You'd be surprised.
I hope not. But regardless, the point is it's just the media trying to control the narrative. I'm not blaming you about that, but I'm saying the fact that that is the talking point of this show that he went on is to me the problem with just politics and the media in this country.
to me it's not a talking point. To me it speaks volumes about the Trump family, because I believe this is the way they think. And remember, we have a president of the United States who dodged the military because of bone spurs, but he goes after people like the late John McCain. Remember when John McCain was still alive, he said he didn't respect him because he was captured. And now you have his son who is at Arlington National Cemetery. Any decent, normal human being, regardless of policy, the first thing that I would think of is, oh my God, these heroes, these soldiers, and I know you would think the same way, Mr. X, that risked their lives and lost their lives for people like me, the freedom to be able to go on the radio and speak my mind. But the first thing that entered Don Jr.'s head is the sacrifices he makes campaigning for his father and making appearances like The View. It's disgusting.
It was just a really, really poor taste analogy.
It was a terrible thing to say. And, my opinion about the military and politics actually is extremely not Republican. I think I'm probably the only person that feels this way, and I think you guys would probably very strongly disagree with my view, and it's actually why I didn't support John McCain. To me, being a war hero is amazing, and I could never do it. It's unbelievable. To me, it does not qualify one to be a politician.
All right,
and the reason I say that, and this is I don't mean this to sound insensitive, but somebody who was in a POW camp and who has endured horrors in combat, how much has that affected one's just general ability to sort of make decisions and function? I don't know if just the fact that one has been a war hero, to me, makes one a good politician or a good leader.
I never said that. Yeah, and I would never say that, Mr. X. But before we move on to other subjects, I will say this: this guy Vidman, the Purple Heart recipient with shrapnel in his body, for Republicans or people on the right to attack this man and his patriotism is another disgusting thing that should never happen in politics.
Absolutely agree, 100%. That's stupid. It's something that should not even be discussed. Somebody does get a pass with regard to character when they serve in this country, period, in some ways. But then again, I also think that...
Mr. X?
Did we lose Mr. X?
Oh, you there, Mr. X?
We'll get him back on the line. I think we lost a little bit of... he might be on his Obama phone. I don't know. It's possible. But we lost Mr. X. We'll get him right back on the line here in a second. That. Well, I wanted to pull up this story because I think it's kind of important. So Dick Cheney is calling Christian Bale Dick. I thought that. Oh, we got Mr. X. We got you back. So Tell him he's a dick, and maybe that's in reference to his first name. Cheney actually passed along to bail that after the actor, of course, played him in that movie role. I think he was just having fun with it. What do you think? But I think that it's actually pretty funny.
I've never known Bale as being overly political. I mean, I know he's British, so I don't know what he like. I think he was probably just playing with the fact.
It's funny though. It's funny.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, I love that. Like, I mean, and the relationship between politics and Hollywood stars is just hysterical.
Mr. X, I want to go back to The View real quickly, and I want you to hear this audio of Tulsi Gabbard and Joy Behar on The View. Now, as you know, Behar is a huge Democrat. She's a big lefty. I'm not a big fan of hers. I'll be honest with you. I'm not. I don't think she's very good. I don't even think she's funny. But Tulsi Gabbard, a lot of people on the left consider Tulsi Gabbard a Republican. I want you to hear this audio. This is them on The View earlier today.
Some of you have accused me of being a traitor to my country, a Russian asset, a Trojan horse. Or a useful idiot, I think was the term that you used.
A useful idiot.
Which basically means that I'm naive or lack intelligence to know what's going on.
They use that.
All right, so what do you make of that little exchange they had a few days ago on The View?
I honestly don't even know which one's which. I've never watched that show, and I don't know.
You have to start watching it now.
Oh God! Why would I torture myself
we
like
can,
that? Like,
we can text back and forth.
Look at Whoopi Goldberg. She's
That's true.
Like, I just can't. No,
all right, but hold on a second. Wait, a lot of conservatives don't like The View, okay? And I was going to ask you about that, but you just made a comment about Whoopi Goldberg. Okay, I'm going to take issue with you with that.
She's fine.
Listen.
I'm kidding.
All right, but here's why. I'm not a huge Whoopi Goldberg fan. I've enjoyed a few of her movies. I don't watch The View. Listen. I'm with you on The View.
I preferred the first one.
Okay, I'm with you on The View. I don't like the show. I don't enjoy it. I don't watch it very often. In this case, I did. But I'll tell you one thing about a Whoopi Goldberg and a Joy Behar that I do respect. Nobody gave them anything in life because of their abilities or talents, because of their stand-up comedy. They've had pretty nice careers for themselves. You know, McCain sits up there, and everything she says is, well, my daddy this and my daddy that.
Brian likes everyone to struggle a little bit and to have problems with their parents.
I did not say that. I don't know why you would make that statement. If you let me finish my point, McCain has no business being up there. The only reason why she is up there is because of her father. That is the only reason. She didn't make any sacrifices in her life. Her father's a war hero. She's done nothing in her life. As far as I'm, she's another Don Jr. Okay, nobody would know who Don Jr. was if not for his father. Same thing with McCain. So Whoopi Goldberg, she started with nothing. She worked hard. She worked her ass off to get to where she is today. And same thing with Joy Behar. She worked the stand-up comedy room. She started in front of 20 people, and you know what? She made a name for herself. Why the hell is McCain up there? My daddy. Just shut up already.
Well, yeah, and to be honest with you, like Whoopi Goldberg's fine. I was kidding. I'm just
fair enough. Fan of
her movies, but the thing is, like, none of Whoopi Goldberg or Joy Behar, these are not political scientists. These are not.
They wouldn't call themselves that.
Right, but it's a political show. I feel like
they have opinions. That's all.
Right, but that's the point. Is like I don't care what these celebrities' opinions are about politics. Like they just it's clearly they're liberal.
A lot of people do. They get ratings.
Obviously, I mean they do, and so there's definitely a big.
So Mr. X,
for that show.
Would you tell them to shut up and make people laugh?
No, I mean I'm not like saying like LeBron like shut up and dribble. By the way, that guy.
You're talking about JD is referencing the racist witch Laura Ingraham. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I had to say that once today. Go ahead.
John, Jay, I wouldn't say that, but what I would say is I'm not going to watch it. I just don't, because I personally don't care what celebrities think about politics. It doesn't matter to me. Like, even when a celebrity comes out and is a big Trump supporter, I think it's amusing because I know the political climate out here. And so but I don't like respect them more. I don't think they're cool. Most of the Trump supporters in Hollywood are completely insane. Like, guys like John Voight and stuff. Like I've spent time with these guys. They're raving lunatics.
John Voight.
Then it's like, but like. So, yeah, that's the thing. I just don't look to these guys to tell me how I should think about politics. You know what I'm saying? And
I agree with you. Listen, Mr. X, I agree with you. Make no mistake about it. Anybody out there who takes the opinion of a celebrity on politics and that's how they form their own opinion is a moron. Sadly, there are a lot of people out there that voted for Donald Trump because he is a celebrity. That's part of the problem.
Let's be honest. If Kanye West is going to run in 2024, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. He's going to finish top 2 or 3.
I'll vote for him. Yeah.
It's going to happen. So we're going to stick to the View here. So Donald Trump Jr. He is accused of. So Drudge Report released the information of the whistleblower's name. And, that Donald Trump Jr. is obviously the son of the President of the United States. Donald Trump Jr. goes on Twitter and retweets or takes the information that he got from the Drudge Report and releases it on his Twitter page. Do you have a problem with that? Because I do not.
No. If it was online and it was a media outlet that was posting this, like, he retweet it, whatever he wants. I don't know. And again, like, this guy's defending his dad. I just, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really have much of an issue with that, Yeah,
well, I disagree.
Well, it'd be much different if he went on, like Rand Paul was threatening to do, and he said, oh, by the way, I have information on the whistleblower. Here is his name. Mm-hmm. And it was totally private prior to that. I would have an issue with that. But just taking...
What about the thing with was it the Miami Dolphins where, like, somebody was, like, releasing... somebody was releasing...
Are you talking about Ray Finkel?
Yeah, no. I wish, yeah, no. Somebody was releasing the names of Trump supporters, like people.
Yeah, voxing.
Like celebrities who had
very different circumstances.
The Trump campaign.
Right.
Very different.
That was Julian Castro.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't agree.
But you'll get blackballed.
Okay,
I
don't agree with the way Castro did that, and we spoke about that on the show, and I disagree with it. But here's the thing: this is not an everyday regular citizen like you or me. This is the son of the President of the United States. And while I understand he wants to defend his father no matter what his father says or does, I believe you should put the country first before your father's best interest. Number 2, there is a reason why the Whistleblower Act is in place. It was put in place by both Democrats and Republicans to protect somebody in this situation. And I guarantee you, okay, well, listen, you can hold the person liable who might have leaked this information. I would support that, but it's one of those things where I said if somebody says something bad about your family or somebody says something negative about you that you don't want out there and somebody puts it out there and then I retweet it, you would have a problem with me doing that. It would still be inappropriate. Just because I didn't release the information myself doesn't make it inappropriate to retweet something. And here, that is my position when it comes to Don Jr. And by the way, Kimberly Guilfoyle, who was sitting right next to him on The View, agreed that it was not the right decision to make. This is his girlfriend, so to speak, and I put that girlfriend in quotations because I've heard some interesting stuff about Kimberly Guilfoyle. But anyway,
they have a very solid relationship.
Well, that's not what I've heard.
They're both extremely loyal to each other.
It's not what I've heard from some very, very good sources, and I've seen some text messages to prove that. But anyway, that's another story.
That at all,
that's another story for another show. No, I'm not lying at all. Yeah, I'm telling you the truth.
Donald Trump Jr. is a master of his own domain.
Breaking news.
Yeah,
news.
I'm sure she's dating him because of his lavish looks and how intelligent he is.
He does have a decent beard.
Clearly.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
Exactly.
But anyway, Mr. X, that's my point when it comes to that. I thought it was completely inappropriate, not illegal.
Sure. Listen. Let me be clear about something. I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump Jr. This is not a guy who I idolize. This is not somebody I ever want to hang out with. This is not somebody who I particularly respect. He's the son of the president. That's what he is. That means nothing. He's not an important person. He's not an intelligent person. He's not somebody that has achieved enormous success in any sector of his life. He's the son of a rich guy who became president. So, that's who we're talking about. And if he's got dumb opinions, so does my neighbor. So
but I disagree. I don't disagree with anything except for one thing, that he's not an important person. I believe when you're the son of the president of the United States and you have the following that he has, I do believe what he says matters. I do think he is important.
You're right. In a Kardashian-esque way, sure, they are also important.
Yeah.
But that's what he is. He's a Kardashian.
I agree.
He's a Trump-dashian. So, that's not like...
But he happens to be the son of the president.
He does, and that's the thing. And so, does that make him mean that I should respect him? It would be cool if he was an intelligent person.
No, he should
but he's
respect,
not.
but he should respect proper behavior when the son of the president.
Absolutely.
That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but Brian, has
Agree 100%.
the left-wing media respected any proper behavior in their?
I'm not talking about the left.
going after him and his father. I'm just saying that the fact it's not whataboutism, Brian.
I'm not talking about the left. I'm talking about him specifically.
The fact that mainstream media at this point does not care what Donald Trump does, no matter how good it is for the country, but they care about how he acts and what he says, because they know who he is. They know Donald Trump's 74 years old. He's not going to change the way he acts. He's not going to change his rhetoric, and they're using that against him while not ever recognizing the good things that he's doing for the country.
I'm just speaking specifically about that.
That to me is much worse than Donald Trump Jr. retweeting something that's already out there.
We're going to continue this because we got to take a break.
That's the mainstream media not having the best interests of the country at heart, Brian.
Okay, well, we got to take a break.
Which you're all about.
Okay, well, we got to take a break. I want to thank Mr. X, the Hollywood conservative, for joining us as always. On a sad note, this Tim Donaghy movie about an NBA referee who cheating scandal. I'm very sad to know. I was supposed to go on a date this weekend and go see the movie, and I just found out that they're pulling it from the theaters. It's only been in there a week, Mr. X. We only got about 15 seconds.
Yeah, why is that?
I don't know. I want to see that. That is a fascinating story to me. I remember when that came out. I wonder, I'm not sure why. I'm sure the NBA was not exactly happy for it to be there. So,
Mr. X, I always appreciate your perspective, and it's always a very good conversation. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week, okay? All right, there you go, Mr.
Thanks
X.
a lot, Mr. X.
Coming up next, Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports. Is it true that OJ is suing the Cosmo because of TMZ? We'll ask him that. Coming up, you're listening to The Vegas Take.